So a topic that people don't really want to talk about or address because it's seen as taboo is suicide. And today we're diving into this topic very specifically because just a couple of days ago was World Suicide Prevention Day. And today we've got some specialists with us to talk about the topic. But more importantly, if this is something that you guys are facing or know somebody who's going through this, please do your part. Listen to this one and see how you can help out with someone's journey. So let's jump in. This is the Takeaway Table podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Table Talk podcast. It's your boys, Domingos and Jeremy. And today we've got with us some special guests from the Malaysian Red Crescent Society. And I think before we move into anything else, let's introduce them. So Mian, you want to ask your famous question?
Okay. Hello, our two guests today. Who you? What you do?
Let's go with ladies first.
Hi. All right. So I'm Faraha. I'm a mental health psychosocial support psychology officer in the Malaysian Red Crescent Society.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Wow. Okay. So basically, you're a psychology officer for mental health and and psychosocial support. All right. And then let's get to the next one before I ask my first question. You.
Yes. Who you? What you do?
Hi, my name is Ishwar Naidu to be exact. I'm a psychosocial volunteer from the Malaysian Red Crescent Society.
Very nice. All right.
Thanks so much for being here with us.
My first burning question. What is psychosocial? For everyone listening in, psychosocial. Just define the term, please, so we know what we're talking about.
It sounds like a Power Ranger, honestly.
I think so.
At this point. What is that? Like Pokemon.
Yes.
So it's basically a support for your psychological and your social. So your mental health and also your basic needs, like
your social needs.
Your social needs like foods, home.
Oh,
okay.
So you actually help. You actually help with necessities as well, not just mental health.
Yes. For example, if we got a call from people that saying that they have financial issues, they don't have food, enough food, so we have a food bank here in Malaysia Red Crescent that we can donate to them.
Got it.
Oh my goodness.
Got it.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, so is this the same Red Crescent that, when you were in school that time, like PPSM, is this the same Red Crescent? Or is this like the extended version, director's cut,
This is the premium paid for version, $30 per month, that kind of version.
Okay.
The Red Crescent
So, okay,
one.
my question, right, for everyone in this podcast is, were you a Red Crescent Society member or PPSM member when you were in school? Jeremy, were you? Jeremy got a PPSM member.
Oh, you were. There we go. Okay.
No. So, you remember the last episode, I said I hate nature and all those? So Scouts is out of the question.
Scouts cannot.
And then the other one cannot lah. I'm not a female so yeah, PPSM, let's go.
So you were PPSM?
Oh my god!
Wow, that's amazing. Minghan, I know you were a scout, Minghan.
I never was anything. I ended up not going for any of it. So I was a scout for 1 second. I was a Pandu Putri the next year. Then the next year I became
you can't.
Then I went to Taekwondo.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't know, but I have the shiniest resume on my co-curriculum
It's
set.
pretty dope.
Know.
Yeah.
Yishuan and Mingyu, were you guys Red Crescent?
Lisha, were you?
Me, I was a scout and then I turned to Red Crescent.
Okay.
And then so it's something that you've done since high school or like since schooling years?
Yeah, since high school.
Wow, you guys! I was a scout for like primary school, secondary school. I joined the Wushu club.
Okay.
I think the reason why I didn't join PBSM was because I just didn't look good in white. So I just felt like maybe this is not for me kind of thing. No, but honest to goodness, it's so interesting to hear, and I think that's why also we want to talk about what else the Malaysian Red Crescent Society does, right? Because I think the first thing you think about when you think about Bulan Sarip Merah or PPSM is that they give me first aid support, they give me mouth to mouth, and they wear white uniform. Like that's all I know, right? But that's not the case. So you guys do a lot more things. Yeah. I think Farah, you were mentioning about the mental health and psychosocial support, and you are also managing the whole Red Crescent for You advocate team. Is that correct?
Yeah, I manage two pillars. I mean two cabang lah. So one is the K line and one is the advocate team, which is also managed by Yishwa. Yishwa is the leader, but I'm the supervisor.
Oh, we got the Abang Kak Long all here lah, basically. And how many members? How big is this team?
Very big.
Very big, yes. Because like you said, PBSM, we have like emergency aid, right? Emergency aid. So we have psychological first aid. So
People
one is
don't
for
really know that.
one is for the medical part, one is for the psychological part.
Wow.
So good to know.
Okay. Yeah, people always think that Red Crescent is, you go to sports day and then you see the ambulance there, right? Then just in
Yeah.
case people
Always
pingsan,
on.
and then help. Well, I didn't know that there was psychological social
Is it
help.
new?
Yes. We just launched this year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's really good.
So this episode is
Okay.
going to be a bit different because we all joke about suicide, especially in the pandemic when we want to, every Monday there's always a joke about get up, kill me, that kind of thing. Today we're moving from jokes to actual use. So for all of y'all, I mean, when you talked about it, this has been something that I think I personally also received DMs. Like I think the team definitely has messages where can we go to get help? Is there a good link? Are there places?
Yeah.
Yes, there are. But we're not just going to do that. If you know a friend and if you yourself are going through something, this might be the episode for you. So huddle up, get a warm cup or something. If it's too hot where you are, get a cold one. Be adaptive.
If you guys are joining us for the first time, usually we talk about all things under the sun. But again, today we're zooming in on suicide and the topic about it because actually last Friday was World Suicide Prevention Day, and actually these lovely people reached out to me and asked me if I was interested to do a Instagram live stream, and we very quickly did a quick meeting, and I was talking to Isho and the team, and we were like, you know what, maybe this is something that needs to be more than just a 1 hour live stream that disappears after you finish it, right? Let's bring this onto the takeaway table and talk about it because we've got an amazing community of audience on the Tabletop Podcast, and we know that even among the community, like they have friends who suffer and are going through a difficult and hard time, and we felt that it would be a very good opportunity for our listeners to listen to this and also figure out where they are in their own mental journey and mental state, and to reach out and help others if they can and if they are able to. So so we're so happy to have Yishwa and Farah with us today. Let's dive in. Jeremy, feel free to jump in because Jeremy is our showrunner, producer, writer. Was there anything else that we missed out, Jeremy? You want to quickly loop back to?
Nope. That's about it. Let's go.
That's about it. Okay, so
I think the big question that we want to address today, besides all the facts and figures, and I mean we'll talk about, I guess, signs of maybe you can look out for somebody who may be suicidal. The thing that we want you guys as an audience to take away today is that how do you talk to someone about suicide? Especially if they are suicidal, right? So I was just talking to a friend about this actually earlier today, and she said to me that this past month, 2 friends have reached out to her and asked for help and hotlines, like where can I go, who can I talk to? And some people, of course, they want to speak to a professional, but there are also some people with a degree of comfort and they feel like it's a bit too out there. Maybe I just want to speak to a friend, right? And so I think today, we like Minghan, myself, and Jeremy, we may not be trained like social frontliners, but maybe with Farah and Yishwa's help, we can figure out what the best way is to maybe have those kind of conversations. Let's start off with that. What is the first thing you do if someone comes to you and be like, hey man, I've been having some difficult thoughts and I've been thinking about taking my own life. Like, what is the first step we should be doing? Do we call the cops on them straight away or something? No, right?
No.
What's the first step?
No.
Yeah.
I would say the first step would be just lend a ear to them.
Yeah.
They're definitely going through tough times, and times like this is something definitely like they just want to be. Most of the cases that I've been through, they want to be listened to. They want someone to just be there for them. So when someone comes to you and say, hey, can I talk to you? Please, if you do know something about the person, if the person has been showing like certain signs, for example, please do make some time for them and just, sure, come, let's have a cup of coffee and listen, just listen to them, see what they're talking about, and then just see the appropriate measure you can take from there onwards.
Yeah.
I think that's quite interesting what you said, right? Because we are, even the topic itself is how do you talk to someone about suicide? right?
Alright.
Would you think it's more of a listening thing compared to a talking thing when it comes to someone who's suicidal?
Yeah. Basically, when we talk about listen, there's many types of listening. Actually, we don't just listen with our ears. We listen with our eyes. We listen with our heart. So from that, they can feel they can feel actually that we are really sincere in hearing them, in listening to what their issues. But of course, you have to respond to them. But how you want to respond is another thing lah. So make sure you don't say that something like toxic positivity, like you invalidate their
Yes.
feelings.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that.
So so it's like come on lah, you're a strong person and everything like that. So it's what we call toxic positivity. We like dismiss the feelings. But what we want is you to acknowledge their feelings that okay, they are stressed, they are feeling suicidal. Just acknowledge. Don't be afraid because of that.
So
Yes.
On that note, basically just adding on top of Mingyu's question, right? When you're talking to someone or someone's reached out to you, let's say you're talking to a friend, and you know Asians, right? We're very shy, right? We don't really talk about our feelings right off the bat, right? What are some signs or some things you can pick up if someone is talking to you and it's a signal? Or what do you guys think is a warning sign for you if someone talks to you about that? Because we did have some things that we talked about, signs and risk factors and something like that. But how do you guys acknowledge because not every time someone comes up to you and say, hey, please let me talk to you about how I'm feeling suicidal, right? They would just like, hey, can I talk to you? What would you guys say is something that you can pick up on? Or what do you guys usually pick up on?
When it comes to signs of suicide, it's actually quite a huge scale.
Right.
Because the most obvious one would be social and behavior signs. So basically they will like withdraw from their social circle. That's one. They will have changes in their demeanor. Basically they will have up and down moods. They'll become more quieter. You'll also like feel like, they won't really say it, but you kind of can feel that they're degrading, or like, how do I put it, Farah? It's like degrading themselves.
Yeah,
Dia
it's
macam,
actually when they think that they're a failure, they feel guilty. Okay, but the issue is we are Malaysian, we have a lot of cultures, and then like you said, you are a man. Sometimes a man doesn't talk about their feelings that much, right? So that is what cultural things, the masculinity. So man thinks that if I tell about my feelings, I'm weak.
Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes they don't directly say that, oh, I have suicidal thoughts. So sometimes they will say indirectly something like, oh, even if I leave, I have nothing. If I leave, I just bring a shame to my family. Something like that. Yeah. So it is indirectly saying that they are not important anymore in this world. So it can be a sign of suicidal also. So
like working right off that, let's just like that. We're trying to make this like the best guide anyone can listen to online, because let's just build on what you guys talked as well, right? Jeremy, I hope you don't mind just building on the action steps, right? So like one of the things you said, we're taking it two different parts. Yishwa, you mentioned that there's behavior, right? So Farah, like people start to change their demeanors and their habits around people. Is it safe to chase someone who is withdrawing from everyone else? Like, what do you do when you notice like there is a friend or a family member that is starting to be very isolated? What is the safer approach to something like that?
Okay, for this, we must understand that everyone is unique. Sometimes them withdrawing can just be like, hey, I just want to take some space. Everyone, like some of us just want that space from our everyday life, I just need some quiet and space. And maybe after having that space, they'll feel better. But for some cases, it's not like that. That's why I said when it comes to suicide as a topic, everyone reacts differently to it. Everyone is unique on their own.
Absolutely.
So like there's not exactly a quantitative measure to it. Everything is qualitative when it comes to it. So like if someone were to like show these symptoms and you are to chase them, be sure that you are a person that they are comfortable with. That's first thing for sure.
Right.
Like if you're let's say if you're not comfortable and a third party comes to you, I'm very sure you will not even lie on them.
Right. So call like a friend or a family member that's close lah, per se.
Yeah, you can let's say if like, and this also depends, I would say, if like, let's say if the person has a good connection to their family or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's say I can just ask like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing great? Okay, good. And like, just try to keep on like, keeping in touch with them. You know, don't have to really like, you don't have to bug them. You get what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
You have to just be there for them. You know, like once in a while, hey, how are you? Want to grab a coffee?
Yeah.
Hey,
I
how's the assignment going along?
That's such a great point, right? I think sometimes with us being overly caring, or sometimes if we over love, right, it also pushes people away, and it doesn't give them that space that they need, and it's uncomfortable. So something for you guys to remember as well. If let's say your friend has mentioned to you or brings up to you that they are going through maybe a bout of depression or stuff like that, right? Like, don't feel you have to solve everything in the same day. Like, you cannot. Give them time. It's not something that they can just kind of like, all right, I'm done now. Thanks. That's a really good point. So
just be as normal as possible lah. Ask normal questions, but be caring about it, right? Because Farah said it's not just about the words; it's about the actions, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you would do,
I
Farah?
like that. Yes, I like what you said before. You don't have to give the solution, because sometimes they don't want the solution. They just want people to listen. Yes, and when the problem is when you don't know the solution, but you pretend to know the solution.
Oh,
that is a problem.
That's the most dangerous one.
Man. That's like on the same level as the toxic positivity, right?
Yeah,
It's like you just like, hey, it's okay, bro. You just go and run 2 rounds around the field. After this, okay, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff, don't we?
Yeah, I think this is
And I
where
think-
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Farah.
Oh, okay. So, and I think a role as a friend or family when you have people that tell you that, oh, I have a problem, I have a suicidal intention or thoughts, you just can educate them that, okay, yes, people with mental health issues sometimes have this suicidal tendency, so and it can be treatable. So support them to go to seek for a professional help, because sometimes they feel afraid to see mental health practitioner because of the stigma, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say that, in Malaysia, right, we're all like professionals about everything, right? We always got something to say one. But I think when it comes to something like this, it's not a time to be a professional at everything. It's something that, it's sensitive because it's about it's life itself, You are dealing with someone's literal well-being, right? And like what Farah and Ishwar has mentioned, it's not about like, putting it off. Don't go and tell someone that you just go and take a nap, take a break and you'll be okay again. I think the best part you can do is just be there for people, ask them how are you doing, like Ishwar said, and just constantly not try to seek for a solution. Maybe that's like the first good steps, right? So where do we know our function as a friend has a limit? Where is that line? How do we know where is that line between, okay, I can still talk to you versus I think you need to go and find some help? What do you guys think?
Okay, so when you see your friend, it's like whatever you say, they keep repeating the same thing, that, oh, I don't think I'm useful anymore in this world. I'm feeling guilty. I'm a failure. Even when you are already besides them, listen to them, and they still repeating the same thing. Like, they don't the mindset doesn't change at all. So that is when I think better you say, okay, you need to get help from mental health professional. I will be with you. We can go together. Encourage them.
So basically, when it's not working already, like being there doesn't work, trying to say something good doesn't work, trying to support doesn't work.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
that is one of it. The other one would be definitely cases of self-harm. Let's say self-harm cases are definitely a big no-no sign. Or if they have committed suicide attempt before.
Right.
Yeah, so these are the 2 big red flags.
Right. So if they have attempted harm.
Yes.
If they attempted, I would say if you're not a professional, it's okay coming from them, because like, just say like, if you're trying to help your friend and you just couldn't, just know that it's okay. You have done your best. You can't do anything more. That is a mindset you should have, and from there you should just, the best thing you can do there from there onwards is to divert them to a better place. By better place, I mean a mental health practitioner or a professional.
Right. So, Isho and Farha, I think we talked about a lot of the different telltale signs and things that you can pick up on for people who may have suicidal tendencies. But looping back to even something that we talked about earlier, that it's almost a given, right? That the situation that we are in with the pandemic, with the economy being the way it is, the way we're locked down at home, we take for granted that these things are just general reasons for people to may have suicidal tendencies or be in depression. But what are some other areas that contribute towards that sort of situation, right? So then people can be a bit more aware of as well, if they are aware of the friend's context or whatever's happening in their life. What sort of factors contribute to having a person feel that there is no other option or no way out?
I think I'll explain the first one. Okay, so so this is going to be a bit sciencey. I hope everyone can keep up. Okay, so one of the way is definitely family history, like family history of illness, like Alzheimer's, or there's many more actually. Alzheimer's, apa lagi ya? Alzheimer's, and then basically any kind of mental health issues or like health issues that's carried on by the family history.
Like dementia.
Yeah, dementia, correct.
Yeah,
all those stuff. And then there's also like the basic mental health issues, depression, anxiety, physical health illness. Basically, let's say, I think one of the most, if I were to give an example, it would be an amputee. So let's say if they got into a car accident and they lose their hand or legs, this can be one of the causes because they can't live without that part. So they tend to go towards the side. Another one can be family issues, basically history of abuse and trauma. Or if to go more further into that, it can be the rape factors and everything. It can also be due to relationship issues.
Yeah.
And then from there it's just, just a complete feeling of hopelessness and helplessness.
Got it.
Was there anything else
But
to
also,
add for that, Farha?
in psychological perspective, we look into biopsychosocial factor. So the bio part is usually the genetic part. So if you have a family member who have a history of mental illness or attempted suicide, so there is a risk for those individuals to commit suicide. And then in the psychological part, like what Yishua has said about mental health issue, so sometimes not just depression, anxiety and everything, even people without depression and anxiety can be affected. It's not just mental illness, but their mental health are affected.
Yes.
And then a social part. The social part is basically we combine with environmental factors like finances. Now because of the pandemic, people losing their jobs, they don't have the sources of income, and then because of the lockdown, academic stress, work stress, parents have to work and look for the children at the same time. So yes, and uncertainty. Because we don't know when COVID will be end, when the lockdown will be end. There's uncertainty and loneliness in there.
Yeah. I think something you said, Farah, like the bio side of it, right? This one stood out because I do remember that some people just feel down and depressed, right? And there's like no other explanation for it other than the fact that some people's bodies actually cannot produce the amount of hormones that they need to have a positive mood, right? And I know this because one of my childhood friends is actually like that, right? Some people, it's like anybody's body, right? You can have like a deficit with something in your body, and usually it's not mood related. It can be why your joints are getting bad. It can be why you get a lot of muscle aches, the kind of thing. But as much as that, I think it's also on this note that you don't play off lightly people who can't do anything about their situation, where it sounds weird or it's like, why you're not making an effort, because some people biologically can't make the effort. Like their brain, for some reason, cannot produce a certain hormone that will balance their mood. And these are the people that I think also is the line, right? Where you cannot help because they need actually to see a professional to take medicine, right?
Yep, betul.
That's the bio side there. A little bit I remember lah. So I at least put my parents' money to some good use, you know.
Oh, come on.
But
Random question, and this is maybe something a bit more light, right? But does exercising help your general state?
Of course, yes. Because when you exercise, your body produces this hormone that will make you happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even though I hate
endorphins?
exercise, it still makes me happy, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it's like being Asians, right? I think something that we like we mentioned earlier in the podcast as well. Like we grow up in a very like tidak apa attitude. We be like,
Yeah.
tak apa one, no problem one, right? And as much as that's good, because you know, for some people it's like no worries. At the end of the day, we're gonna get through this no matter what. That's great. But for some people who are in a specific situation, that may seem like you don't care, or it's not like, you know, like Farha said, like you're not acknowledging their feelings or their emotional state, right? And so I think just for everyone, just a reminder to you, you shouldn't say to your friend, or if you know someone who's going through this and comes and shares their feelings with you, don't tell them, hey, just go and just go and
suck
run
it
it
up.
off. Yeah, just say, suck it up, bro. Tak apa, no problem. Tomorrow. I mean, if
damn it.
you think that, if you put yourself in a position, right? Don't do it, right? But also, I mean, it's difficult because I know sometimes when you're too close to somebody and they come to you with these kind of things, you want to give them tough love, kan? You will tell them, yeah, bro, it's because you're not exercising and going out in the sun enough, you know? And I think, I mean, a benefit of doubt, maybe it could be a reason. But like, I think something to take in mind about what Ishra and Farha said, that if it's repetitive, if it's something they keep saying, they keep bringing up, then you know it's not your solution of going to exercise or going out in the sun. It's beyond that, right? I'm just going to jump into some interesting facts and stats that we've gotten. So the current suicide rate in Malaysia is actually from last year's stats, right? In 2020, a total recorded and reported cases was 631. All right, so that's a 631 cases last year in 2020. And this year, in just the first 5 months, from January to May, there was already 468 cases. So that's almost it's almost last year's rate, not even in 6 months. And I think that's something that's definitely worrying and concerning. We were just speaking about it earlier with Farha and Yishua, and that is something that they, as frontliners for psychosocial people, as psychosocial frontliners themselves, also feel is concerning and worrying. And I think that's why we want to bring to light this issue as well. But for you guys to see the numbers jump in that sense, or like to increase steadily, I think it's something that has already been steadily increasing over the years, right? That's why the initiative for the Red Crescent Society has now extended to what you guys are doing as well. When did you all feel that this was like, why do you think cases are going up, or like why do you think there is an increase over the years if you look back on it?
One of the reasons why could be that, you know, because people just tend to neglect it. People just say that, oh, it's okay, what's the worst that can happen? Then throw it behind. And then they didn't realize they threw so much behind it, they turn around, oh my, it's a big mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is just an attitude that we need to stop. You know, we need like, hey, people are dying from this. We need to start doing something.
Yeah.
I feel like that is what now, I mean, compared to back few years, like 5 years back then, and compared to now, we are definitely leaps ahead. We are definitely doing more talks. We are definitely advocating it much more. And hopefully and surely that the cases will drop. That's what we all are hoping for over here.
Yeah, that's the goal, definitely. Yeah.
And I do think that the pandemic has put us into a place that we have to face these issues now, right? I think a lot of the people who are going through depressive or high anxiety situations, and that can lead up to suicidal stuff. I think this is a very big call into mental health. Because if it wasn't for the pandemic, a lot of these things are still there. I think the pandemic just kind of like squeezed it even tighter and showed to people, you know, how much you actually need to take care of your mental health, right? Today, I mean, we're talking about World Suicide Prevention Day, but the best prevention is also just addressing it before it happens, right? To prevent it entirely. So for everyone, again, if you just need a refresh, we're talking about this episode is in line with the World Suicide Prevention Day, and Faraha and Yishua are right here. Again, they are psychosocial counselor, advocates, volunteers, officers. The titles go on. At this point, we just call them. It's that taboo, right? That the Asian people always got that title, right? Doctor Otak or something like that. My grandparents all also got this kind of really really weird title one. They were they were calling it like,
Rambutan.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's the one we grew up with, right? The Tanjung Rambutan. But I think now we know better, and I hope that with all these that we've talked about, you guys can actually take to heart some of this stuff. I think we can just move on to a bit more help for people who might not be a professional, right? Like Yishua, you're a psychosocial volunteer, right? What can we as individuals or communities do to help suicide prevention? Like, how did you, Yishua, get involved? Let's not talk about Farha because she's an officer, so we'll talk about your story later. But as a volunteer, how did you get involved?
How did I get involved? Well, first, it's going to be like I'm inserting an advertisement. Join the Malaysian Red Crescent today. Okay. So I basically started when I was in high school, and then it just developed from there. So I always had an interest in psychology. So I thought, hey, this looks good. Why don't I join it? So when I first joined, it was definitely it was a bit scary at first. Because you see, medical first aid is everything is there. You kind of know what to do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to psychological first aid, you have to listen carefully. You have to look carefully, and you have to also link them to the proper sources carefully. Because if any of the step you did wrong, it's just very hard for you to fix it back. Because, for example, one of the most famous mistakes that we do is when someone comes to us for help, we tend to put our own input.
Oh yeah.
Do you all realize that?
Yeah.
So like, hey, do you know that 1 + 1 is 3? No, 1 + 1 is 2. But then you don't know the person is like bad in maths or something like that.
Right.
So you must instead of saying, oh, I see, so it's one. So basically this is where I really learned what is active listening. So this is something that I wish everyone who is listening to this can really implement this in their life. So what is active listening is basically, if I were to put it to layman terms, this is basically everyone. Basically, let's say you're talking, yes, oh yeah. That is just, you're not listening actively at all. You're just having the annotations there. But what is active listening is basically you are paraphrasing what they're saying, you're summarizing what they're saying, you're taking the key points of what they're saying. Basically, you are making them feel validated. You're making them feel that they're being listened to. So like basically, let's say like, oh, so I see, oh, so the apple was poisonous, Snow White, so it becomes like that. So you're listening, and then like in this way, you can also kind of help them to find themselves, you can say. Because sometimes when someone just like release their emotions to you, right? Which what a lot of people, when you see suicide happens, they just have so much pent up emotions, feelings that they just want to release on someone. And by you rephrasing it and by you summarizing it for them, it can make them look into a different way too. Hopefully the good way. So this is just, I hope that everyone can look into the skill. I mean, there's a lot of sites out there, or if not, y'all can just anytime, if you're like seeking for any help, you can just call the Caroline or something. You will see that they are putting this active listening to very good use. So so just like when I learned that when you're talking to someone, just listen to them, talk to them. If can, do not try to put your own input to it.
Yeah.
I
think that's important.
I think the biggest thing that I took from learning anything about counseling or helping people is that you try to stay out of it. It's not your problem, right? It's their problem that you need to be a part of. And it's like for some, for lack of a better explanation, what Yishua talked about active listening, could just be something like, if they're saying, I feel very down, the normal Asian would be like, when I'm down, this is what I do. When I'm down, I go for a jog. I eat my good food. No, it's not about you. It's not about you. They don't hear what you're gonna do. And active listening, there's some very simple steps that I learned how to do it if you're really in that situation. The first one is just mirroring or reflecting the words, right? If they said, I feel very down, then you just say, you feel very down, and you just mirror it back. And then they will start to open up and talk about it. You don't have to start saying, why are you feeling down? Because you can actually give people the wrong tone and you're like, I'm actually, no, you're right. I'm not feeling down. Never mind. And the second one,
even for us, even for us, we don't encourage people to ask why.
Yeah,
it's just
why is
repeating
a
the
very
question,
dangerous
right?
question.
Yeah, it's a loaded question.
Because-
Like you need to give a reason, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're interrogating why.
Yeah.
Why are you feeling
Okay.
down?
So
Yeah, like
if
that.
instead of asking why, what should we be asking?
How are you feeling
You
down?
ask the other W's.
What happened?
You remember Mr. How
Yeah,
and
what
W's?
happened?
Yeah.
What happened? Do you mind to share with me? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
the easier
that's interesting.
easier
That's
ones.
a very good point.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
like asking why are you feeling down, like what happened? What made you feel down? Easier questions, right?
Yeah.
So like that mirroring is one thing, and I think the second one is what Isha said. Don't mirror and work on their playing field. Like, don't try and give your suggestions into their life. Like if mala helped you, you don't ask people to eat mala just because mala helped you deal with your depression. Like it might make me get to my end goal faster if I eat mala. Like for someone who can't eat spicy food,
correct.
for example,
Like it
right?
might give you correct. Like for you, milk is the best solution to spicy, right? But if I'm lactose intolerant, then how?
Yeah.
Terus I berak, right? So it's not the solution for everybody, and I think that's something that we got to remember. But no, so now I think as we reach the end of the podcast, as we want to wrap things up, right? I think it's important for us to provide a couple of ways for people to reach out for help if they need to. And I think I just want to quickly address the whole stigma about reaching out for professional help. And you have lots of shows and movies and jokes about, if you need to see a counselor or a therapist, there's something wrong with you. That's not the case, right? Because nobody's laughing at you when you need to go to the doctor. Like, who is laughing at you when you have like an eye infection? And then I laugh at you, haha, you need to go and see doctor, you got eye infection. Nobody does that. And I think that's the same sort of respect you need to give yourself as your physical body as well as your mental body, right? That mental health, that physical health is, if not equally important, it's almost more important, right? Because there is so much about you that you have to take care of, right? And if you only limit yourself to be like, okay, I will only do all these mental things on my own, you are definitely crippling your own mental ability to function. So let's remind ourselves that seeking for help, professional help, is not a sign of weakness. If that's a sign of weakness, then when you go and take Panadol when you have headache, it's also a sign of weakness. Okay, that's on par. Let's just be honest with that. Okay, so let's quickly just let Farah, maybe you can bring us through a couple of avenues or resources for people who need some access to so some mental help or mental health help. Sorry, and where they can look.
Okay. So if you're not comfortable to go and see a doctor in a hospital or the psychiatric hospital, there's many options out there. So for example, like us, for MRCS, we have our own care line. You can call. And we also have Befrienders, Talian Kasih, Women's Aid Organization. There's so many out there for the care line, for people to call. Okay, as for our care line, you can get the numbers from our IG, Malaysian Red Crescent, and also Red Crescent.
Everyone's on Instagram, correct. So aside from the Red Crescent For You Instagram page that you guys can go and follow and get in touch with, you guys also have the COVID home care program and OxyDrive campaign. Can you tell us a bit more about that and how people can benefit from that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the Malaysian Red Crescent has established a home monitoring call center.
Yep.
So basically, this is where they call the family members who are in COVID, just to check up on them, on their vitals, and just generally on how are they doing. So basically, there's two things that y'all can do. One is if you guys have any used laptops or handphones, y'all can do your best to donate them, because we really are in need of this scarce resource. And not only that, we are also in conjunction with the OxyDrive campaign, where you guys know the oxygen meter on your hand. If you put it on your thumb, it will show your oxygen vitals. So unfortunately, not many of the B40 communities have access to this. So our goal with this campaign is to help as many people as they can to receive this. So what they'll receive is the oxygen meter itself, and they'll receive a simple care kit. So basically, they have all their medical necessities in there, such as hand sanitizers, masks, and so much more.
Yeah, love that care package. Okay. But guys, just want to thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you so much, Farha and Yishua, for being on with us as well to talk about this. Do you guys have any final words or parting words that you want to leave the audience with? Let's go with Yishua first.
Me?
Yes, do you have any final parting words?
My final parting words, I would say, if you guys can definitely advocate for mental health, please do. Suicide is such a life and death matter. I feel like, just having this kind of conversation with someone or helping someone can go for miles for that person.
Yeah.
Who knows that the word you have said or just that time you have spent listening to them could have saved their lives. So I would say that definitely whoever that is feel to need this, feel to hear this, please take it from me. You guys can do great.
Awesome. And Farha, what do you have? Any last words or advice for our listeners?
I hope for all the people to look out for each other in this tough time. And because when you give hope to people, when there's hope, there's a way for you to, feel better.
Wow,
Yeah,
Farha, I think can write book already lah, this one. So good. I love that. Mingan, any last words for our listeners, Mingan?
Remember, guys, there's 3 things that you can be a part of, and also get involved with the donations if you can and are able to donate. Again, Red Crescent for You, the COVID home care program and OxyDrive program campaign. There are things to donate. There are things you can give your time to. Go and find out more. Or if you just need to help an individual or a friend, make sure you check this out. And I hope this episode has helped you a bit. Remember, do not. We all want to think the best about people, but try your best not to underplay someone else going through something. Just be sensitive. It is a time where everyone is stressed. And hey, here's the best part. If you're too stressed and you can't be a good help to anyone, just don't need to help. Just be alone. Don't spread the negativity. Your own stress. Just chill on yourself. If you need help, reach out. If you are listening to this and you need some help, and you have no idea who to go to, there are numbers you can call. We've given you the links. Please check them out. And it always starts with you making the first move to help. You might not be able to help yourself the best, but you can get help for yourself and you can ask people to help. So remember, you're not alone. They're friends. They're strangers looking out for you. Literal strangers, but professional strangers. So get involved, guys. I hope this episode was good. Mingyu, what is For the Life of Us? Let's wrap it up with something we all know. What's the song of the week?
This week's song recommendation is actually a really, really good song, especially for a reminder that you matter to people around you, right? So this one is actually something that we featured before. It's by Gentle Bones and Ben, our friends from Singapore. This one's called Better With You, and basically they sing about how life is better with you around. And I just want to remind you guys that you matter to people. Please remember that. Send this song to a friend who needs that reminder as well. And I hope you guys have a good listen to this one. If you guys want to get caught up with all our Table Talk podcasts, it's available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. You can search for it and listen to everything else. We're big advocates of being better versions of ourselves and a better version of ourselves for the community. Speaking about community, you can get caught up with all the shenanigans that gets happening with the Table Talk Discord. Sorry. The Table Talk Discord, yeah. Right? Yeah. No, that's the takeaway Discord. That's available on discord.gg/the takeaway table. That's discord.gg/the takeaway table. We have fun, we hang out, and if you want a place to meet new friends and get fresh ideas and just have a good time, jump on and you can hang out with us. And we're there every week. So I think that's about it. Once again, thank you so much to Yishua and Farha for being a part of today's podcast. Thank you so much for bringing so much insight and active steps for us to take. I think in a time like this, it's something that we don't talk about enough, and I think we should continue talking about it. So thank you so much also to the Red Crescent Society of Malaysia for all the work that you guys have been doing. Thank you. And for all of us, I hope you guys have a great week ahead. It's September. 2021 is coming to a close, but there's still so much to be done and so much that you can achieve. So all the best, and we love you guys. Stay safe, stay clean, wash those hands, and keep those butts clean. See you guys. Bye.